Hi bass players, welcome back to the channel. Tatiana is here. Today I'm going to tell you about 5 the most common mistakes that the beginner bassists make, because if you know them, you can fix them. I see them pretty often in my students and I remember myself making the same mistakes. If you are aware about some stuff like this, you can fix your mistakes very precisely and sound great and groove more confidently. So let's get right into it. Mistake number 1 is the bad fretboard hand position. If your fretboard hand isn't positioned well, it leads to playing with too much tension, and it's bad for your fingers, your wrist, your elbow, shoulder, back, everything. I believe that the fretboard hand position is the most significant starting point for playing. You won't be able to develop much if you play like this, or like this. If you have to bend your wrist too much, or if your shoulder is too much down, it's all wrong. One of the worst things can happen. You can get a ganglion in your wrist, which can be painful and limiting your movements and hard to operate. So nothing is good in the wrong fretboard hand position. You can watch that video I've made about the fretboard hand position or find another tutorial. Having a good teacher also fixes this issue. Mistake number 2 is wrong plucking hand position. Those who play by finger sometimes tend to use one finger only instead of playing 2 fingers, which is more convenient on the bass guitar, but you can play with one if you want. Another mistake about the plucking hand is that the beginners often pluck it wrong. They pluck it to the air, like on harp, instead of coming to the next string to mute it. This is what it should look like. And this is what it looks like sometimes, and this is wrong. Then they don't move their thumb up or down, playing on different strings. As a result, all the strings vibrate at the same time. When the strings aren't muted, the sound is messy. On the bass guitar, usually one string shall sound at a time, and it's the same in all regular part and in most cases. If you want, you can watch that video of mine about the plucking hand position, or find another tutorial, or ask a bass teacher. If you use a pick, it's better to learn how to move it up and down in both directions, because if you are not doing this, you are limiting your technical abilities and your speed. I've seen people playing with just the downward movement, something like this, or just the upward movement like this. But if you use both directions, you need to make less movements, and your speed potentially increases. You'll play more relaxed and confident if you use less movements of your pick for that. Also, you still need to mute the strings which are not supposed to sound. With playing by the pick, people usually use palm muting. So they mute some strings with their palm, and muting by your fretboard hand also helps. So playing on the string D, I mute these 2 strings with my fretboard hand, and the string E is muted by the palm. To be honest, I don't play with the pick often, so you might find another teacher who can teach you this particular skill. Mistake number 3 is not practicing with the metronome. Nothing can replace this. All your exercises, scales, riffs and solos, everything shall have a very precise and particular rhythm that you understand and that you can play in different tempos. If the part is fast and you can't keep it on time, you will never be able to play it in the original tempo well if you don't figure out it first with the metronome and play it in slower tempo. If you don't have a device called a metronome which looks like this or maybe differently, it doesn't matter much, you can use just your browser or even YouTube. You can type it up something like metronome 60 BPM or whatever speed you need and play with it. Here is a video of mine about how to practice with a metronome. Mistake number 4 is being too ambitious choosing parts to play. Very often, beginning bass players choose too difficult material to play. I've been there too, and now I see it in my students. When something sounds cool, you want to sound like that. You imagine yourself at a performance or an exam playing this super cool stuff and being hugely impressive. That's totally understandable. However, if you aren't ready yet, you simply won't make it. Your performance will fall apart. You will show a struggle instead of easiness and pleasure. When we perform on a stage or for an assessment, we are all nervous. And when the material is way above our current level, we can impress the others maybe with our probably potential and ambitions, but not with how well we play. It is much better to choose the repertoire that matches your current level. When you are learning it, your level will grow, and this gap between your current level, which is growing, and the level of the material will give you confidence on the stage. The confident and steady groove gives bass players much more appreciation from the audience and shows their better understanding of music, rather than something like rhythmically unprecise mumbling on the bass in a fast tempo. Mistake number 5 is relying on tabs only. Tabs can be helpful, especially when you just start your journey. However, they won't give you freedom in transposing and modulating when you need to play your part in a different key from the original. And in practice, that happens often. Next, people who use tabs often can't make up their own bass parts when no one shows them where exactly to put their fingers. And last but not least, people who make manuals for bass players with tabs often make mistakes, and they want you to place your fingers in weird and uncomfortable positions when you could choose the better ones with a better sound and more comfortable for your own hand. It's much better to learn how to play using chord charts. I'm also a big advocate for learning notation. I know that opinions are different here, and some people say that musicians and composers, even in medieval and Baroque times, used tabs for their lute pieces, for example. I'm not very familiar with lutes and the specifics of how to play on them, but I know that sometimes they have something like 26 strings or around. Guys, we have 4. Oh, okay, up to 6. There is no obvious reason to me to limit ourselves with tabs only and leave notations somewhere outside of brackets, but this can be your next step, right? So there you have it, 5 the most common mistakes which I have noticed from my bass students, beginning bass players. And maybe you can add some more points in my list. Let me know in the comments about it. And write please which ones you have struggled with. Please feel free to write a comment, and don't worry, it's a journey, right? And we all go through things like this. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, so that you don't miss the next video. Keep grooving and I will see you next time.